What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show. We are live here on a Monday morning on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. Guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, if you're watching strictly on Twitter right now, make sure to do us a favor and head on over to the YouTube link. Hit that subscribe button. It's the best spot to get your thoughts and comments pulled up here on the screen with us. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. I got something in my goddamn eye. It won't go away. So if you see me rubbing it over and over again, just ignore it, please. But my man, the Phillies went across the pond over the weekend, went to London to take on the Mets. They split in pretty incredible Nick Castellanos fashion yesterday. But we'll get into that game, just the experience of it all, how it looked. Phillies fans taking over. Obviously, they had Passyunk bar over there. So it was just a pretty cool experience for the Phillies and Philly fans, and to get them on a national stage like that when they're already having such an incredible year. I know it should have been a 2-game quick sweep. They did blow a 3-0 lead, but what are you going to do? They're 45-20 and still have control of the NL East as the Braves lose again. So we're going to talk a lot of Phillies. Some rumors about the trade deadline over the weekend, man. Me and Scotty were going back and forth with this Jeff Passan rumor that they're in not just Jeff Passan, but basically that they're in the outfield market. And you know, it's not really like a Brandon Marsh-esque move. It's not an Edmundo Sosa at shortstop-esque move at the deadline for depth or fielding or anything like that. No. They seem to be looking very aggressively in the outfield market at Kyle Star, Randy Arozarena, Luis Robert, the power hitter in Chicago. If they bring one of those dudes in and platoon Marsh and Rojas in center field, depending on them pitching matchup, and put the other in left, we're gonna have an exciting, even more exciting run, man.
And maybe if you are able to get a guy like that, maybe you can have days where you can give Castellanos a rest as well, right? Like maybe that's an option too. Like, not shitting on Castellanos, he's been up and down as always, but might just be nice to have another look, across the board in that outfield. So either way, Dombrowski looking to get better, and that's the goal. And that's what we should all be hoping for. It just seems that they have shifted from pitching to now the bats again, right?
Yes, because we've heard kind of the Dombrowski's tempered what he likes to do his first 2 years in Philly at the deadline. He's kind of not gone all in at the deadline, depleted the farm system, and gone just for that 1 year. Now, obviously, the Phillies have a pretty wide window, I'd say, right now over the next half decade with the stars they have locked up. But looking at this year, 45 wins, first team to 40 wins in the majors, a 7 or 8 game lead over the Braves in June in the division. This is the year you're expecting Dave Dombrowski to make that move to ship out some of those prospects that the Phillies have down there and bring in a difference maker at the deadline. And when you do that, it seems weird, right? Because when you look at 1 through 9, when you look defensively with the growth that Rojas has had, how Brandon Marsh has come into his own with Kevin Long since being acquired from the Angels, you're like, well, where does an outfielder really fit, right? Like you're so accustomed to Marsh in left, let's put Rojas in center and Costi in right. Well, like you said, with some of Costi's slumps, with Marsh's injuries and not being able to hit against lefties, with Rojas still being young and at the plate, right? Pache young and at the plate. You go out and you bring in a stud and everyday type of player that can go out there in left field. Marsh can hit against lefties in center. Rojas can hit against righties in center. They're both really good defensively. They both have speed, and that's your new outfield. And that's exciting.
When you see like Rojas and Pache and, even Marsh to an extent, I think we all agree Marsh has like earned his role on this team, right? He's shown he can stand the lineup consistently day to day, lefties or righties. But when you look at Rojas and Pache specifically, it's like they look a whole lot better as depth pieces, backup options, right? If somebody goes down or if somebody needs a break in the middle of this long season, they look a lot better coming off out of the off the bench to come back into the starting lineup in that fashion, rather than always relying on them or going back and forth between Rojas and Pache and putting that pressure on them.
Right.
Mind you, they have answered the call to an extent, right? Like they've shown that they're better in that front behind the bat, but
but you're just not Kyle
consistency,
right?
Yeah, you need another, like if you can get another. I shouldn't say you need another guy. That's an extreme. That's an overreaction.
The options available.
If you can get it, right? If you can get a Luis Robert, like another power bat, another guy that can get it out of the yard at any time. It's going to put the fear of God into a lot of these pitching staff and a lot of these teams, man. And that's the goal. Like right now, you can argue that the Phillies are a favorite to win the World Series. How do you become the favorite? And I think that's what we're talking about right now.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you. And again, it's not just about what's on the paper, right? And we've discussed that earlier on in the year and even in last season's postseason run. But, like you said, Johan Rojas, very exciting prospect. We get the speed. We get the defensive ability. He's obviously made strides this year at the plate, and you're not just dismissing him for the future. Right. But if you have an opportunity to go out and you look at this lineup 1 through 9, now let me ask you a question. What's a better, more efficient, more effective, scarier lineup when it comes out of Johan Rojas sitting in the 9 hole or Luis Robert sitting in the 5 or 6 hole of this lineup or Kyle Tucker sitting in the 5 hole of this lineup? And then Marsh is hitting 8th instead of 7th and everything, et cetera, that goes off of that. That's the point, right? And that does not mean Johan Rojas doesn't have a spot. It doesn't mean Brandon Marsh doesn't have a spot. It doesn't mean Nick Castellanos is getting sat down. But it's what you need to do if it's available.
Yeah, I agree with that. And let me ask you this. When you look at – I didn't read the Jeff Passan article, but did he mention, like, would we have to get rid of Rojas or Apache or – They wouldn't be involved in that, right? So then in that case, because I think that is where it gets a little rocky. And once again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't trade Rojas if it brings in a right now player that can help you win the World Series. But I think that's when it gets a little rocky when you start talking about your future and putting everything up for it. But out of the 3 guys you mentioned, which one of those 3 guys would be your primary target of the 3?
Man,
they're all pretty good. They're all upgrades.
That's a tough question, right? Because Randy Arozarena and Kyle Tucker both have big stage experience.
Which one costs you the most as well?
Right, correct. They both have experience where Luis Robert plays for possibly the worst franchise since he's since he's been around over the last half decade or so. Luis Robert's bat. Kyle Tucker's bat's crazy as well, but Luis Robert is a legitimate 35, 36 home run hitter per year on a very, very poverty team. Yeah. So if you insert Luis Robert into a championship organization, what does that bat look like?
Yeah.
Like I said, like Kyle Tucker, if I had to rank them, especially with the seasons they're having right now, Randy Arozarena, the Rays haven't been that good. They're right around 500, a little below. I think he's hitting in the low 200s early on in the year. I'd
like including price and cost.
I guess I go Tucker, then Robert,
including cost to get them. Which one would you go after? Because the reason I asked that,
Robert.
I heard Rob. Like I saw this report that the White Sox want like a Juan Soto package for Luis Robert Jr. So I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Let me ask you a question: in what position are you, if you are the Chicago White Sox, to demand anything from anybody?
Yeah, exactly.
As bad as you are, you want a Juan Soto-esque package.
And then it becomes who has
for no offense, and I'm excited to get the dude if they were able to, but for no offense, not a Juan Soto-esque player. Like, not Juan fucking Soto. Let's get that straight. So, no. Yeah. So I would say price included, I'd still probably go Tucker 1, Robert 2, Arozarena 3. But if they are able to land Luis Robert,
He's the one that kind of fits like the timeline to it. It feels like as well, man. The Kyle Tucker one is interesting because it's like, why exactly is he rumored to be available?
I know,
you know what I mean?
Maybe just because if you're the Astros, the way the season's going, if it continues to be this way at the deadline, you're
not really going to compete for.
You're not contending this year, depending on what you're trying to do for the future. If Tucker's a part of your plans, money-wise, age-wise, what's going on there, and what can you get the biggest haul for, right? So, like, you're not moving on from Yordan Alvarez because you had a bad season. You don't probably want to move on from an Alex Bregman. You don't want to, but you could move on from a Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, no, I feel you. He's 27 too, man. That just it fits beyond perfectly.
I'm trying to see. First thing you look up is Kyle Tucker, Phillies. What's he doing so far this year?
He had 19 home runs from what I saw and 40 RBIs.
Yeah, he has 19 home runs, and it's like flying under the radar. So I'm pretty sure I know Gunnar Henderson just hit his like 20th the other day, and he's the league leader. So you're telling me Kyle Tucker's right below the league
He's
leader?
Like third. Yeah, I think he's third.
Yeah, so exactly. So with the experience, I would have to go Kyle Tucker 1. But if they get any of the three, I'm absolutely ecstatic for what this team's pushing forward. They're probably going to add another bullpen piece, I'd imagine, as well at the deadline. Just had to have another arm, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
We talk about this often. I don't think Dombrowski's going to do it, especially if you are targeting a bigger outfield type of piece, because you're probably not going to make two big splashes, which you would have to go out and get one of the game's better closers. But when you watch, let's get into what happened over the weekend and how they're playing. When you watch how yesterday unfolded, and don't get me wrong, this bullpen's been unbelievable. But you still, right? Like, you still have questions about who's going to consistently close me ball games.
Yeah.
We've seen Jeff Hoffman struggle in ninth. We obviously seen Alvarado struggle with command in the ninth. Soto struggles with command. Strom's not a closer. Like, I know he closed game 4 against the Braves last year, whatever it was, to take us to the NLCS. But he's not a legitimate closer. So do you go out and look for a guy that can consistently say, I'll take the ball in the ninth inning? So that's one last thing they're probably looking at.
Am I tripping here? Wasn't the plan for Orion Kirkring to kind of gravitate into that spot? But
I believe so. But
he's just not going at the trajectory we'd like to see at this point, obviously.
Right.
But
I mean, he's been electric over the last month and a half, since coming back from injury, but he hasn't been thrown into any of those roles, right? He's been a 7th, 8th inning kind of guy. Getting the last 3 outs is a bit different. And when you're talking about doing it on the biggest stage, which is potentially and hopefully another NLCS and a World Series appearance, are you ready to give him the ball? Now, maybe he's ready for that, because that, like you said, that kind of was the idea. And this year he's been, as of late, he's been really.
Yeah. Saturday, he was money. I mean, that was, like you said, he's been electric.
He's got a 1.19 in 22 2/3 innings this year. 24 strikeouts to 4 walks.
So maybe that's something you try, like maybe just see, in one of these series coming up, see if he can be.
I agree.
In the moment, but
that's the thing, right? He has 0 saves in the 22 2/3 innings, so he has not been put into that role. Maybe he's pitched in the 9th, and it's slipping my mind, but it's a 9th inning where we're up 5 runs, so that's not.
Maybe he hasn't had to save.
So that's actually a great point, man. Maybe you flirt with that idea. Sir Anthony's been absolutely great for since May 1st, I believe. You figure that out, but definitely another bullpen arm's never bad to have. You can never have too many. And we'll see if they can find that true kind of closer, right? Because as much as we love this bullpen and we love the energy from it, Strom brings energy, Jose brings energy, all that. It is, I don't want to call it worrisome, but not who's throwing the 9th, right?
There's no confidence there.
A 1-run ball game. What are we throwing out there. Yeah, man, the hat is staying on because the tan line is too atrocious to put on
Got the
screen right
sunburn,
now.
man.
Yeah, your boy wore the hat all day on the beach, and well, it's just, so we're gonna have to figure that out coming up, man. But what's going on, guys? We appreciate you. Yeah, if you want to give Strom a chance, I'm with it, man. I just think to your point, Scotty, I think it's something you have to figure out. I love Jose Alvarado. We are going to have a heart attack as a collective fan base if Jose Alvarado is out there in the ninth inning of almost every game of this postseason run.
Yeah.
He's great. He's phenomenal. He can be locked down. It's scary. The command issues are going to be there, just like they were yesterday. And that's a scary thought.
Yeah, I think that was one of the bigger things coming out of yesterday. Like, obviously, Soto comes in and he's horrible, but he's been horrible. But Alvarado is kind of that guy that you look at and like, he's the one that was off today. Or maybe if he's not, maybe we win this game. But no, I do agree. I think that's got to be like a vocal point or a focal point going forward with this team, is kind of figuring out that role, because it's going to be huge. It's going to be one of the bigger things we see in the postseason. Obviously, you had your closer locked down going into the postseason last year, but even that got a little shaky. So being in this position isn't the greatest when it comes to the pitching staff and closing. But I did want to ask you, there was a couple times where we had some, base issues or base running issues or loaded bases over the weekend. Didn't take it, bases loaded, I guess you would say, the opposite way of saying it. Not taken advantage of, right? Like runners left stranded out there. And I'm just curious, is this starting to become a worry for you? It feels like it has picked up a little bit lately. Maybe it's just the fact that there's been a lot more attention on the Phillies lately, to where we're seeing it. But I saw our buddy Phil, Beard of Knowledge. He tweeted it. It might have been yesterday or the day before, but he basically said, past seasons I would get worried when I would see, guys left stranded on base, bases loaded, and no runs scored out of it. And he says he feels a little bit different with this team. He doesn't get as worried about that. But I'm curious, as it goes on, as time goes on, do we get worried about it, or is that just
what's funny, man, with that tweet and this team is I agree. Like, styles make fights, and I think every game for this team this year has been a different style of fight. And so to your point, it has kind of picked up recently. They have had actually a decent amount of bases loaded situations. It was actually the first inning of yesterday. They had bases loaded, nobody out. They only come away with one run.
And I think we noticed this because we've together laid their 5-run total right in several games.
And they literally all last week they didn't score 5 runs in like 5 of their 6 games. And that's come with leaving runners in scoring position, a leadoff double, you don't even move them, bases loaded, 1 out, we hit into a double play, just like how we ended and lost the game yesterday from a broken bat. I'm not trying to pile on, and he's been better. Like, he's hitting like 250, a better power over the last month or so. It's just such a Castellanos ending. Like, if anybody else is up there, that doesn't happen. And he breaks his bat on a 1-2 count and literally hits like a 3-foot dribbler that Richie from the bench warmers hit. And catcher grabs it, steps on home plate. And somehow, I know Mark Henry tweeted it, and it's the truth, somehow Nick Castellanos is the slowest in shape person or athlete I've ever seen. Like, there are dudes that are out of shape. They're slower. Kyle Schwarber is a slower dude.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Quarterbacks are not in the best. Some quarterbacks are not in the best shape. They're slower guys, right? Castellanos is in shape, and the motherfucker's slow.
Tall, like long legs, right? Like, it is funny, man. He's an interesting
that's how
guy.
that game ends. But yeah, to your point, they haven't been the 5-run on average team that they were before, probably last week. But again, they scored what they score in they scored 6.
Saturday they scored 7.
Yeah.
Yesterday
7,
they scored 5. So they did hit 5 yesterday. So
they've been playing better, but I don't want to pause, rewind. They haven't been playing better. The bats have been better with on scoring position, but they still have those those moments. So, but to your point, it's not a concern because styles make fights, and each and every night has been a different kind of fight for this team, and they just are figuring out ways to win. Like yesterday, right? They blow the 3-0 lead, insert David Dahl.
Bang.
Dude hits a home run in the 8th inning to put them up 4-3. That should have been a win, right? So like, even though they're stranding runners, even though they're blowing a lead, this team's so resilient that it just feels like they're going to find a way in the 7th and the 8th and the 9th. Think about it this way, man. They hit the home run in the 8th after blowing the lead.
Yeah.
Then they give up the lead, and you're like, man, that's probably it. Maybe
that's exactly what I was going to say.
They get bases loaded, score a run, and are in great position to win the game.
It wasn't like they came out, 3 straight outs, game over. Like they came out, they put up a fight.
Right.
And that's what they've been able to do all season. So
yeah.
I did want to point out Saturday, man. Bryce Harper is just he's a funny guy, man. Like and the reason I laid him for a home run on Saturday is just because he does that in every big moment. Bryce Harper comes up and he cranks one. Like I get it. Yesterday we could have probably used one, but it's like the first game in London. He's happy to be there, and he's pandering to the London fans and the Philly fans at the same time. And he just always comes up clutch. Like when you feel like it's time for Bryce Harper to crank one, he usually does. And it started, way back when he first got here, man. It always takes me back whenever he hits a big home run in a big moment. It always takes me back to that grand slam. I believe it was against the Cubs. Yeah. I only remember because I was at that game, and I remember him coming up to with bases loaded and just cranking it to win the game.
I don't want to go down like this.
Bryce Harper, like
grand slam against the Cubs, right? Do you remember the Angels grand slam 2 summers ago?
Man.
7-0, and he hit a grand slam to tie it in the bottom of the 9th. Last year, I believe it was, we played the Giants and we were down whatever. He was our last at-bat of the game, and he hits an opposite field home run to tie the game and send it to extras. You have all the moments in the postseason. The swing of his life. You have the stare down, the 2 home run game that game. You had the just everything. The game 3 home run against McCullers and the Astros to start things off. Like he's what they said, right, man? He's the showman, right? Like that's what he is, and rips out the celly to pan. Like it's just people just take a page out of his book, man. Normally I don't like ultra aggressive pain. Like I find it corny. There's not a thing Bryce Harper could do that I find corny. Like not a thing.
He does it because he does it in the right way. He's not corny about it. He's very blue collar about it in a sense, right? Like he panders after he cranks it. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like don't pander to me before the game, right? When you're going into London and you're gonna have a great time. Pander to me after the game, after you cranked one. And that's the thing, man. Like you said,
by the way, it was only a triple shy of the cycle in London as well.
In that game as well, right? And that's the thing, like looking around at our superstars specifically in Philadelphia, like take a page out of that book and be more like that guy, man. Like that's honestly how I feel. Especially in the clutch, like he has to be the most clutch player in Philadelphia right now.
It's
easily
unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, like easily. I'm just thinking, like, the reason I bring that up is because I'm thinking about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jeff Lurie at the NBA Finals watching the Boston Celtics. And, A.J. Brown sends Brunson a signed jersey. And mind you, I'm not going at these guys for this, so they're just living their lives. But it is just funny to see a little bit of the difference. Because Bryce Harper was a Cowboys fan. Now he wears Eagles jerseys. He wears Eagles caps. It's just interesting, man. But the Fightins, who do they play next, man? Who's the next series?
They're at Fenway for
the Red Sox. Red Sox. That'll be a fun one, man. Red Sox have been all right this season.
Yeah, they've been floating, I believe, right.
And then the Orioles, man. We got a nice little lineup coming up. The Orioles and then the Padres.
Do we really?
Yeah, and then the Diamondbacks. Oh, and then the Tigers. So
little rematch.
Yeah, this month's gonna be a little fun, man.
All right. So let's put it that way, man. Everybody that wanted the schedule to turn up a little bit, right? and I get the Padres aren't what we thought, and the Diamondbacks really aren't what they were last year. but you're going to get a lot of drama. You got Fenway Park and a 500 Red Sox team. You got people who think that the Orioles are going to come out of the AL. We got to go there. We got the Padres. We know the history there. You got the NLCS rematch with the Diamondbacks. There's a lot going on this month. For all those people that want to huff and puff about the schedule and the lack of play and this and that, get ready because it's coming now, man. And we'll see what this team can do. But they're just so much fun. I think that's the biggest takeaway before we move on here is, like, even though they lost, they blew a game, how the game ended, like, normally that would hurt, right? Like, big stage,
I won Walker start
in London. Walker starts and actually dominates on basically 6 innings. You have it. That should be a win. And normally it would really, you'd be pissed off about it for the next day or two.
Yeah.
I don't really care. Like, I just don't. You're 45 and 20. You've built yourself enough just breathing room for me. You built yourself enough cachet for me to just go, all right, that's a split.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like,
it's not like they came out there and got blown out, you know?
Did you know they've already swept the same amount of series this season that they swept all of last year? 7. They have 7 sweeps this year, and they swept 7 times all of last year.
That's insane.
It's the beginning of June, bro.
Yeah. And they're looking to get better.
Yeah, exactly. So this team,
it's interesting. I did want to ask you, I believe this was Rangers' first start since the minor injury, the minor hand injury. He looked pretty good, though, going out there. He looked... Yeah,
man. I mean, the control was off early. He obviously gave up the Lindor double, gave up the early run to put them down. But, again, I think he just is the epitome of what this team is. Like, he just battles, and it doesn't matter. Like, he gives up the early run. The command's not there. He's walking a couple guys, which he does not do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think Ranger gave up, 2 runs?
Yeah, 2 runs. Had 6 Ks. Got through 5.2 innings. So,
exactly.
Not a great day.
Yeah, so, like, what do you – like, it doesn't matter how shaky it looks, how rocky it looks. At the end of the day, he gets out of things, and he keeps this team in a position to win games, man. So, yeah, he is exactly what this team is. First pitcher to 10 wins, by the way, 10-1 on the season. The Phillies have been doing that all year long. First team to 30 wins, 35 wins, 40 wins, etc. So they're just so goddamn fun each and every month. So that's all I can really.
So before we move from the Phillies here, I do want to ask you this. So you got the Red Sox and the Orioles coming up 6 games straight. You're in Boston, then you're in Baltimore. How many wins what should the goal be against these 2 teams?
I mean, the goal should be what? 4-2?
4-2, win each series, right?
Win the series, right? That's all you can really ask for, right? I can't. First of all, I'm not expecting you to go into fucking Baltimore and sweep the Orioles, okay?
Right. 3, on the road.
I also think that the Red Sox are formidable enough to not get swept at home. So, yeah, I'm asking you to win both series. That's it. So, 4-2. If you find a way to go 3-3, whatever. So, that's
I think 3-3 as a basement wouldn't be horrible, right?
Yeah.
If you go 1-2, you want to beat the Orioles just because they're a contender, right? You do want to prove yourself against them. But if something happens on the road, there's 6 straight road games. You're not going to lose sleep over that.
I'm telling you what, man, that's going to be a fun ass series to watch.
Yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm happy because you got all the other sports winded down.
Like, is that borderline?
To pick up now.
Is that borderline like the dream World Series matchup? Like,
Orioles and Phillies,
Yankees, Phillies, New York, Philly. We lost them back in 09.
It's the vicinity of how close these cities are.
Like, Baltimore, as well as being close, Baltimore is that like new up and coming, like just that young fun team.
It's a team I do not have like any sort of emotions towards. You know what I mean? I have no negative connotations towards the Baltimore Orioles, but it could certainly develop.
It could get there. It could get there because all of a sudden, come late October, there could be random Orioles fans on my timeline I've never.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. And now you made me hate this team, but no,
exactly,
that would be it, right? The Phillies, Yankees, or Phillies, Orioles is probably the dream scenario, just in terms of a baseball fan, right? Like if I'm a Phillies fan, fuck it, I want the easy way out. Find a team to get on a little run out there in the AL, and let's take care of them in the World Series. But from a viewing perspective, from the build up, from everything like that, one of those
would be the best matchup.
Absolutely. But yeah, man. All right, I see the comments. Let's get into it. We'll move on from the Phillies. We'll continue talking about them throughout the week. The Mavs won't win a game, he says, man.
Marchand had them winning the series, by the way.
Yeah,
so
Scotty, though, man. Here's the thing. You brought up the odds for Game 3 already to me before the show, and that line really screams that I want to take the Celtics. It makes me want to throw up saying that, but to watch what the Celtics did, obviously Game 1 slapped them around, okay? Yeah. Game 2, Boston was horrific from 3. Tatum was inefficient as shit, and they still commanded a 7 to 14-point lead the entire second half. For it to go from that to the Mavericks winning outright and being favorites in Game 3 is a little odd to me. So it really makes me want to take the Celtics. And if they win Game 3, I don't know if the Mavs are winning a Game 2 is point.
Yeah. To that point, man, this Celtics team, they have too many dogs on their team, man. It's annoying to have to like go through this right now and to have to like end up having to finish this season out with them being the champions. But when you look at like what they've done all season, the writing's been on the wall. Like we just have wanted to ignore it. We've wanted, to just hope and pray that the monkey on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's backs would stay there, right? No rings. They've, been together all these years, unable to win. But it does kind of feel like it's been 2 games in Boston. It kind of feels like they are getting themselves over the hump. You've seen, like, in the first 2 games, you've seen the 2 ways that they're different. Porzingis game 1 goes nuclear in the second quarter or whatever, the first quarter. I can't remember. It was the first half. And then Drew Holiday in game 2 has 26 points and 11 rebounds, 11 for 14 from the field, outperforming Kyrie Irving in this series. Drew Holiday, their 4th best player, 5th best player.
Borderline just a facilitator through 2 games. Like literally like a fucking facilitator, just setting dudes up. Now, again, he's been inefficient, and we can talk about that, and we can poke fun at it. But at the end, it can be frustrating as Sixers fans. Like, man, their superstar gets to have all of these issues, shooting, the poor this, poor that, and they still blow teams out. While my superstar has to score 45 for us to have a chance. At the end of the day, oh well. So I want to ask you this to bring in the Sixers kind of into the loop, right?
Yeah.
We talk about roster construction because of the whole Jason Tatum thing. Like, man, how can your superstar be 7 for 22 from the floor and your team still win by double digits? Or do you look that way at Boston and try to build your roster a certain way, or are they just an anomaly? Like you can't replicate. You can't have Tatum and Brown be that duo that rise up together and then just add in a fucking Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis and grab a Derek White who turns into a some nights 20-point per game scorer. Like, they're an anomaly almost. That's what I feel like. Like, they're a 65-plus win anomaly. Yeah. You want to try to replicate it. You want to try to get your roster around what they're doing. You can't.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
You worded it correctly there. It's unrealistic to think that we could ever get a team assembled like the Boston Celtics. It's unrealistic. Like I tweeted this out earlier today. I'm interested to see what they do this offseason, because how do you keep this together? But somehow it feels like they're going to be able to, like if they want to. There are mentionings of, trading Derek White just to get ahead of like his contract situation, which maybe they do, and maybe that evens it out a little bit for the rest of the field. But, I think it's unrealistic, man, because you look at the Sixers this year, right? And I get it. We have all this cap space. We can go out. We can try to figure something out this offseason. But when you look at the Sixers of last year, who was their 3rd best player? It was Kelly Oubre.
Yeah.
How many players does Boston have that are better than Kelly Oubre or like the same? Obviously, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're going to be up there with Maxey and Embiid. But then you go after that, and it's like, is he better than Drew Holiday? No. Better than Derek White? No.
No.
Better than Kristaps Porzingis? No.
No.
Better than Al Horford?
Yeah, right.
For the Sixers, yeah. But Al Horford for the Celtics, I don't know, because he can give you 5 threes in one game.
Right.
But to that point, that's like at least 3 guys right there that are better than Oubre or the same as him. Or when you're talking about Derek White and Drew Holiday, they're definitively better. Or Kristaps Porzingis as well, right? Like there's gaps there. These are all-star caliber players when you talk about Drew and Kristaps specifically. So no, I don't even think, man, like we would be lucky to have like Derek White as like our third guy. You know what I mean? Like that's like a dream to have him as our third guy.
And he's their fifth.
He's their fifth, like star or whatever you want to call him. No, I think, you look at Denver, maybe that's a little more realistic. Like
in terms of roster construction,
right.
You have the point guard, you have the center. That's where you're at. How can we
got Kristaps Porzingis coming off the bench in the finals, man? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've been blind all season or just like ignoring the Celtics, I guess. And now it's
I would mention 2 things. A, we tried to pinpoint the lack of depth, just from a name perspective. Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett. If you want to throw in Al Horford in that conversation, we wanted to kind of poke fun at that. Well, apparently Peyton Pritchard can just knock down 45-foot 3-pointers at the buzzer. Apparently Sam Hauser can give you 6 threes on any given night. Apparently Luke Cornett can grab an offensive rebound and dunk. Apparently all this shit can happen for the Boston Celtics, where if Luke Cornett was my backup center, he would look like he can't step on a basketball floor.
Yeah.
Outside of that, right?
Yeah.
What was Porzingis, White, and Holiday? What are they going to be? And not only have they all shown up, they're all showing up together. That's the issue, right? Like Derek White is going to hit 6 threes one game. Drew Holiday, when he was with the Bucks, obviously got a ring. Like, don't get me wrong, but Drew Holiday giving you 28 points. I think at one point he was
Drew Holiday stuff.
He was 10 of 12 from the field that last night. Kristaps, like we've seen him be on these loser franchises. How's he going to fit in? Like a fucking glove. He just slides in.
Look, he had a down night last night, right? Kristaps, he had a down night, 12 points for it. It's better than Tobias Harris. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Sam Hauser has been better than Tobias Harris this postseason.
Now this is the biggest, this is the worry, even with the space and the trades and everything you do and all the excitement that it brings. This is the issue. We're going to have 2 dudes. Don't get me wrong, there are 2 best players, but we're going to have 2 dudes that have been really together for what? 3 years now?
3 years, and Maxey not a huge part of it his first-ish year, right?
So, like, we can buy all the new toys we want. We can trade with other kids for new toys, and it can all be fun, and it can look so pretty. But at the end of the day, being together matters.
Yeah, I agree.
We talk about Denver, man. We talk about Denver. Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. have been together since Michael Porter Jr. has come into the league. And then you fill out the other pieces. We don't have that.
Yeah. And you bring in like a perfect glue guy like Aaron Gordon, right? Like a guy that could fit like on most teams as a role player, playmaker, hard work or whatever. But yeah, no, I agree, man. And I think, see, this is the one thing when I'm watching this series specifically and I'm watching the Celtics against the rest of these teams, man, I kind of think like a player like Embiid or a player like Nikola Jokic is what it takes to beat the Boston Celtics in a sense. Like, do you know what I mean by that? Like, Embiid is such a mismatch from the center position. And I know he's had his troubles against Horford in the past, but even when you look back to that series against Boston, the one it might have been last year, the year before with Harden, right? And you take them to, I think, 7 games. You go back to Boston. You get blown out in Boston, but that's some of the toughest games we've seen the Boston Celtics have in the postseason the last few years. Mind you, they get eliminated by the Heat. The Heat are a tough-ass team. We know that. But when I look at the matchups, it's once again, I'm just begging the basketball gods to let us get Embiid healthy in the postseason. And I think that, once again, it drives that remaining factor of like, you have to have a backup center for the regular season so you do not run Embiid into the ground. And I think but it's just that huge question mark. Like, I do think if you get Embiid into the postseason against the Boston Celtics fully healthy with a competent team around him, with Nick Nurse, with Tyrese Maxey, no Tobias. Yeah, thank you, TR. Yeah, no Tobias Harris. I think that's a big enough mismatch. And I think the same thing of Nikola Jokic. Like, if the Nuggets made it to the finals this year, I think that's a much, much better matchup against the Celtics than just trying to outscore them with like Kyrie and Luka and trying to match, against Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but then all these other guys. Whereas there's nobody that can match Embiid, if you know what I mean. Like, that, it's just not possible because of his size, his figure, and what he does on the defensive end as well. But we never get to see it. It's just, it's a hypothetical at the end of the day.
I agree. And we never, for some reason, can get the team around him where even if Boston can't necessarily match up with him, but they go to that defensive game plan, that scheme where they're throwing different looks and bodies at him and double and triple teams, and he passes out of it. We thought we had it again this year until we go through all these crazy scoring droughts and shooting droughts because no one can hit a mother effing shot for this team. When is that going to end? Again, though, the Boston Celtics, I know I sound like a whiny baby right now just wanting what they have, but the Boston Celtics were bad from three last night. But when it mattered in the fourth quarter and they got a steal or an offensive rebound or whatever, Derek White from three. Cash. Drew Holiday from three. Cash. Jaylen Brown at the top of the key. Cash. When it mattered. When it matters for us, clank, clank, clank.
Yeah.
It never happened.
I'll never forget that game 6 where we watched D'Anthony Melton just airball like 3 consecutive wide open corner threes. Corner threes, right? Like, those are the easiest 3-pointers you can shoot. And he airballs them. Like, we can't even have it be close. Like, to going in.
Harris get an offensive rebound at the top of the key this year and literally hit the side of the backboard. Like, the glass, like the front of it, not the side, not the skinny part, the front of it, but missed the rim and just hit the glass. And it went back for a bucket for the Knicks the other way.
Meanwhile,
like, this is what I'm talking about.
In the biggest moments of the game last night, Drew Holiday is hitting, a corner three to extend the lead to where, the Mavs can't get back into the game. Or Derek White is glassing PJ Washington on the fast break. Like, okay. Like, we don't have players that do this stuff. Like, and that's what sucks because we name all these players and it's like, you're not going to find 4 guys. This offseason. Like, we're being highly optimistic if we think we're going to find 4 guys this offseason that can enter the rotation this year and give us like consistent, efficient basketball that played at a good level. Like,
I agree.
It is. It's like draining, and I am jealous. Like, it's a bad spot to be in. I feel like if you're in the rest of the Eastern Conference, like, they just swept the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. And it's just so annoying because I was just up in Massachusetts and I stopped in Boston for like 2 hours at a brewery. And like, it was before game 1 started, but like, I see a Celtics jersey walking down the street. I see Celtics, signs and shit up. I go in a deli, there's Celtics trivia up for, guest to answer, blah. And I'm just like, man, fuck you people. Like this shit, I hated everything about it. And, here they are up 2-0, and it's like, God damn it! Like, just
spoiled sports city. Honestly,
I know. I do envy a bit. I do
talk about the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots. I mean, come on.
I do envy it.
What did they do to like earn like this? Like, I'm curious. Man.
Well, they did go through that. They did go through that historic streak, right? The Curse of the Bambino.
You are right, man. That was a minute. That was a minute to get that monkey off the back.
They didn't win a World Series for Jesus. I forget how many decades. It could have been close to a century or whatever it was.
Yeah, fair to what you're saying. Fair to Marshawn Lynch. They did cheat. Yeah. The Patriots specifically.
Sure did.
So how do you feel like the Mavs won't win a game this series? Like, are they gonna get swept?
I from just like I said, a betting perspective, as gross as this sounds, it makes me want to vomit. I want to take the Celtics in Game 3. Like you're not swinging the series that favorably for me from what I saw in Games 1 and 2 to go and say the Mavericks should be favored in Game 3. I don't care if they're at home or not. And if that's the case, if they get up 3-0, I think that's the knife. I think that's it. We'll see. But last little talk, man. Let's get a little spicy. Let's get the comments all fired up. Let's talk WNBA. Let's talk Q2. Let's talk about it for a second. Man. I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen. I haven't seen hatred to this level, possibly ever, and it's the weirdest thing.
I agree, man.
And the just the delusion. I'm sorry, you people can come for me. The women can come for me. I don't care. The delusion of some of these other players. Let's talk about Angel Reese. I'm sorry. Don't you shoot like 32% from the floor this year? Aren't you scoring like 6 points? Bro, they're not coming to see you, man.
And that's the thing, man. Like we have like a and once again, we're not trying to shit on Angel Reese. It's just like one of these things. Like, let's talk about it. Let's be fair and evaluate this.
You're sitting on a woman
Draymond Green
in your revenue.
She's Draymond Green. Like, do people come to see Draymond Green play? Like, no, they don't. Like, nobody wants to see Draymond Green play basketball.
They come to see Steph shoot 40
footers. They come to see Steph Curry. They come to see Klay Thompson to light it up from the 3-point line, man. Like, the other corny part with this Chicago Sky team, I guess it's the Chicago Sky. I saw them complaining the other day about a reporter harassing one of their players, brother. All they asked was like, how have you felt like since this happened with Caitlin Clark? How do you feel now? Or something like that, right? And then the security comes up, gets in the camera guy's face, like blocking him and stuff. Yeah. But then you see the comments online by the players. And it's just like, did you want the attention or not? Like, what do you think Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving walk into basketball games hearing from like opposing fans or media members or whatever questions?
There's so many layers. Do you
want the money or an attention or not?
Exactly.
Like,
I don't get it. No one's asking you to I was going to take it too far, but to just embrace this woman and love her because she's bringing in money and all the eyes on her. I get it. There might be a little whatever the case may be. The bottom line is
gotta be a real.
There's been a large disparity in viewership, which leads to wages between the men's and the women's across all workforces, specifically sports, and it's been a heated debate for decades right now. The bottom line is these bring in this, and she's bringing these to your sport, which has suffered since its birth. So instead of trying to deny her in every way and go after her and attack her, literally physically, like you're shoulder checking.
It's the most hater shit I've ever seen, man. Honestly, some of the most hater shit I've ever seen.
Maybe just embrace it and talk it up and I get it. There always needs to be a villain or a couple villains, right? Like the Angel Reese, maybe someone else, because that's going to bring eyeballs as well. Not every single one of you. Dog, the girl, I don't even know her name anymore. I heard it for one day and I thought I would remember it. I don't. The girl that rammed her shoulder into her and
I think it's like Kennedy Carter or something like that.
Something Chardonnay, Kennedy, I don't know.
Yeah.
No one knew who you were.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Look, and it's funny because as soon as I type Carter into ESPN now, her name pops up first.
Because of who you went after.
Is that not crazy?
The last thing that I find so corny is this right here, man. I was going to bring this up. You know what all the vets want to, you know what all the players and the vets keep talking, right? About her, it's different in this league, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like from the college to the pros.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's a different world. What other player in the WNBA is getting picked up 94 feet from the basket consistently every play?
Yeah.
What other player is getting hand checked, is getting the shoulders thrown into their rib cage, is getting thrown on the ground, getting into what other players getting this physical
Welcome to the
treatment?
league. Welcome to
That's
the
not, yeah, that's
WNBA.
not just how the league is, bro. You're not doing it. It's only her. So that's not getting used to the league because the league is played this way. This isn't the bad boy Pistons and the Bulls and the Celtics getting into it each and every night. This is specific treatment for one girl because you're so goddamn threatened by it when you should be grateful because she's bringing money to your goddamn pockets.
Just join in on it.
All of a sudden, these ladies are getting to fly charter flights. Charter flights.
Yeah, because like it is crazy to think about, man. Because like then you see the other side of it is Caitlin Clark herself, who just doesn't really say much of anything.
She answers every question great, like perfectly, bro. While everyone else, while everyone else keeps debating, she just keeps moving on and accepting. And this is the worst part. There are talented players in this league, bro. And it's all of this like hate is taking away from it because it makes you not want to like care or focus on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look, Caitlin Clark's team, what she played for, the Indiana, right? She plays for Indiana. Caitlin Clark's team played whatever team a couple nights ago. I saw a tweet where I believe the teams were a combined 4-17 or 3-17 records on the year.
Yeah.
And the bitch was sold out to the rooftop.
Yeah.
For two garbage ass teams. Now, why was that, Scotty? Was that because Angel Reese was in the building? Oh no, her team wasn't playing. So just stop, bro. Just stop.
I don't get it, man. I really don't.
It doesn't make the USA team because they want veterans on the team. Though Christian Laettner played for the men's. Like, what are we doing?
I will say this though, man. Get us a Philadelphia team, man.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about this, a lot more frequently. It's hard when there's no team based here in Philly, obviously, on this show to like get this involved and give it the attention. But that's the point, though. It does have attention. There is times where it's downtime, and maybe I'll throw the WNBA game. Mind you, the crazy thing is, man, it is crazy the difference between NBA and WNBA, like the levels, financially, all of it. Because I'll mess around and I'll turn on like this like free TV channel, and the WNBA games are live on there, man. Like it's on ION. I don't know if you've ever heard of that station. ION. Yeah, ION. I never heard of that station, but that's where some of those games are. I get to turn them on for free, man.
Watch like old ass Criminal Minds episodes.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So like, it is wild to just not just join in as like a team. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing I feel like I don't know if that's like a woman thing. It's not my place to speak on like the science of women and men or anything like that, but it feels like when this happens in the NBA, right, where some type of negative situation happens or whatever the case may be, they come together and they, kind of team up together to go against the league even at times, right? To make it better for the players. Whereas it's almost like the players are just turning completely against somebody that's bringing a lot of attention to them.
They're their biggest haters.
Yeah,
they really
yeah.
They're
like
their own biggest haters.
Even if you're just tuning in and you want to watch Caitlin Clark, like you're tuning in. Like that's it. Like let it be that. It's fine. Like we don't have to argue about this shit. Like who's tuning in for what not. Like Luka and Jason Tatum are playing in the NBA Finals. Are we just watching for Jason Tatum? Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter.
Because again, I'll say
it one last time, you're trying to build fandoms.
People all the way in the back, for the people everywhere that just don't want to get it, and for some reason think that money just fucking falls off of trees and everyone should be granted this and that. This comes from these. This comes from these. And if no one's watching, you're not going to get paid. Why? Because your league's not getting paid. So be a little. I'm not saying 100% grateful. I'm not saying you got to love her. You got to give her any special treat. Just be a little grateful and embrace it. Scotty, if your team's playing Caitlin, if you're playing the Indiana Fever and you're on ESPN, guess what, bro? Go ball the fuck out.
Yeah.
Go showcase yourself. Take that as a moment to show the world, to show social media, yo, I'm in this league too. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Instead, you make a name by yourself by trying to hip drop tackle the girl. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, use it as motivation. But
it's goofy. We'll have to touch base on this, as the season goes on. It's very early on. Maybe the tune will change over time as they start to get more benefits.
I swear to God, I only brought it up because my entire Twitter feed for the last 3 days is
I agree.
And it's all different sides of arguments and clips and this and that. And I'm just like, man, dude, like it's kind of crazy.
No, I agree, man. I really do. I think, I at first I was kind of like, I liked Angel Reese, coming out of college, and I was like, oh, the LSU, like the underdog story. You know what I mean? And then, like, as we get to the WNBA, it's just starting to rub me the wrong way because it's like, let it the fuck go. Like just move on. You're both in the NBA, in the WNBA right now. You're both part of these young teams that are trying to develop and grow.
She's kind of made her name off of this, like being the villain to Caitlin Clark. Yeah. And in college, she got the better of her. And she would what? She talked, right? She talked a lot. Yeah. Yeah. She just lost the other last week to her team. Angel Reese didn't want to answer any Caitlin Clark questions. You started all of it. You started all of it, man. So when I say this, like, I'm not, it has nothing to do with her person, her character, anything. I'm not hating on her. What I'm saying is, I'm sorry. I do not mean to be an asshole. When you make the comments of, it's not, when we look back, it's not just because of one girl, one person. If Angel Reese would have said it's not because of one girl, it's because of all of us, that's a great comment. We're all doing this. We're all building this brand. We're all building this sport. Yeah. When you say it's not because of one person, it's because of me too.
Yeah.
You know how jealous and crazy you sound when you say that?
Like, because it's not your place to say it.
Because of our sport.
It's not her place to say who's going to remember what for what, because it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's the fans that will look back on this.
Again, bro, again, to wrap up the show, has Caitlin Clark ever once said, people are watching the WNBA because of me?
Right. No, she didn't self-proclaim
open her mouth. She doesn't say anything crazy. So no one else should be saying anything crazy. And we'll just see where this fun train continues to take.
See, and this comment right here, Angel Reese trying to be Pat Bev out there, and that's the thing. Pat Bev, Draymond Green's, these people that talk a lot, and I like talking to an extent. Like, I think Draymond Green's more of a dirty player, but you can talk. You can talk. Like, it's fine. I like it. I like when Ant Edwards talks his shit, but when Ant Edwards gets eliminated. When he gets eliminated 4-1 by the Dallas Mavs in the Western Conference Finals, you're gonna hear some noise about it. Like, don't deny the questions now at the end of the game because you got your ass handed to you. You got to answer it. You got to take it on the chin.
Absolutely correct.
And she'll grow. She's a young girl, so like she'll grow up hopefully and maybe move out of that a little bit. But it is interesting.
The issue is the veterans in the league apparently haven't grown out of it. So like. Set some sort of example or something, man. But anyway,
real quick before we get out of here, man, do you believe Darius Slay about the Kelly Green jerseys, man? How dumb would that be?
First of all, like the quote tweet that I saw of him saying, "Hell, I don't know."
He doesn't even know. Yeah, I saw that too.
What does that mean, bro? So then
why did you say it then?
That's just stupid. Like there is no like conversation here. Like, okay, well, they're not wearing the Kelly Green. I agree with you. Like, it would be stupid. Like, did you see the money it brought in last year? Guess what? If you did it again, guarantee a whole new batch of people go and buy new Kelly Green jerseys.
Get that Saquon jersey. Like
Saquon Barkley, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon. Bet they all go get those ones, right? So it would be stupid. So it is like a conversation to be had, but like to just bring it up random. What was it like while he was streaming or on a podcast or something?
Like, I think he was like a guest on a podcast and just came out and said that, but then backtracks immediately in Twitter, and it's just like, why do you say these things? But that was my first thought when I saw the video of him saying it. I was just like, all right, like,
Wait.
Darius Slade is speaking
I
with
was ready. I was
nonsense.
ready to wrap this up, but I missed this. What happened?
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Fill me in, TR. Fill me in.
Get a sip.
Yeah, Big Dom's got a new title or some shit.
3 different paychecks.
Oh, he said it's been all over WIP. I'll have to check it out. Maybe we can
when was he like doing a
check.
press conference, I guess?
I'll check it now. If I can't find nothing immediately, we'll look into it and I'll talk about it on Wednesday's show.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good plan. We need to update on the birds this season, man. We're getting closer.
Soon, man. Really, really soon. All right. Yeah.
Just interested though now. What's some interesting stuff coming out of camp though? I will say that. So maybe that's something for Wednesday for sure. Because I heard some good things about Quinyon Mitchell. Who else? John Ross, wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Paris Campbell's been targeted a lot, apparently.
Isaiah Rodgers as well. I've been seeing a lot about him. Chris Harris Jr., did you see his interview with Kay Adams?
He'd come out of retirement to play for the Eagles.
Don't really need him, but
no. I also would have loved it like 3 years ago. But
right. It's a little late.
They asked Jalen what he thought about Nick during this training camp, and he was like, I'm not sure how to answer to that question. He's been good at delivering a message. It's a little weird.
A little in the middle, but that's
I do in a weird way, man. Like I think it's just part of Jalen, that cool persona, like just playing everything off, letting it roll off the show. What do you mean? I don't know. Like what is that?
Yeah, that's kind of how I take it as well. Plus, I did see. So I guess what I was hearing towards the end of last week, and mind you, I was at the beach all weekend, so I wasn't listening to a ton of radio or anything, but. Friday, I believe it was Friday or Thursday, I was listening to 97.5 and they were talking about Jalen Hurts basically saying he has to learn like 95% new, like the playbook is 95% new with Kellen Moore.
First and foremost, thank God and get to studying, brother.
That is a good thing. I would like to see a lot different things going into this season. So
Yeah, and no offense, like, man, if that was in any way, and it wasn't, but if that was in any way like a negative statement, like, I got to learn, blah, blah, blah. Well, sorry that you're, what is he, his godfather or a friend of the family?
Brian Johnson.
That's his coordinator anymore. So, like, sorry, man. Go get
Where did Brian Johnson go again?
It's back. He did get a job somewhere, didn't he?
I feel like he went to, like, why did the Commanders come to my mind? But maybe it wasn't them.
Let me see.
Can't remember.
Oh, yeah, it is.
He went to the Commanders?
Yeah.
Is he a QB coach or a...
Something like that.
What is your gauge, or where are you at?
Head coach.
Where are you at with Nick Sirianni? Because I've seen a lot of talk about him and wearing the Phillies hat at the press conference and the pandering.
I don't care about anything like that. I actually like when Nick does little pandering like that, like when the Phillies are in the playoffs, so wear a Phillies hat or a hoodie. Like I don't want anything like that. Just in terms of Sirianni overall, man, I just think we're excited for a new season, and this is it. Like this is it. This is your test. This is your drive. Yeah. This is
like your bounce back opportunity,
or you're gone, because if you let's not forget there were questions on whether he will be back at the end of last year, and now months have gone by. They've added all these new pieces. They go out, they get the 2 corners, they get Saquon, and you kind of forget a little bit how last year went and ended, and what our opinions and feelings were, and you kind of move on from it. He's got to fix it this year. And now the coordinator should do a lot of that.
But it's almost like get out of the way.
Yeah, he does, man. He has to, in that quote, just deliver the message, man. Just be a coach, just be a leader, just be a galvanizer, be that guy, which I've seen you be.
I think
something out of the way in terms of just play calling a duty.
Something that he said at the end of the season, maybe it was the introductory press conference this year, just saying he's back. But excuse me, burp right there. But something I found interesting and that I did like the idea of was him actually sitting in with the defensive meetings. Like, you are the head coach.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be solely focused on offense. You should be in both.
All aspects.
Should have a great idea of the entire team. And that doesn't mean go into the defensive meetings and have a voice. It just means know what's going on in the defensive meetings. And that would be the kind of the clarification or the difference for me as far as what he's doing.
I agree.
It is interesting because I'm just curious. Kellen Moore, obviously a head coaching candidate with his resume. Vic Fangio, I don't think he's interested in being a head coach. I don't think that's like a thing for him. But it's just like, what in what world does it become, Nick Sirianni out, move Kellen Moore up to head coach? And like, it would have to be such a weird season for that to happen. You know what I mean? But like, there is a world where I feel like it could happen though.
Yeah. Well, if this is the case, well, then we shouldn't have to worry about Nick's leadership, because this is and should be a close-knit group. You've made the playoffs for 3 years straight under this leadership. You've gone to a Super Bowl. You've felt that feeling. And now the goal is just to get back to that mountaintop.
And it is on the players to an extent, right? Like they have to get their heads out of their asses.
You are grown-ass men. Like, this isn't, you're not in middle school and coach has to get you going or anything like that. Like, you should be able to go out there and do your job without needing some rah-rah or, whatever, pat on the back.
Exactly. That's when Nick Sirianni does get corny, when he has to get into all that rah-rah shit. It's like, it shouldn't take that.
Right. No, I agree. But anyway, let's end the show on that note. Fuck Boston.
Facts. That's big facts. Even when they win the finals, fuck Boston all the way, man.
Go Birds. Go Phils.
Yes, sir.
We will be back Wednesday morning, guys, talking more Phillies, more Eagles, and more everything with you. We appreciate each and every one of you that tune in. Make sure you do us a favor. If you're watching on Twitter, click the link, the YouTube link, hit subscribe. It's the best spot to get your comments. As you can see,
sure.
PR and Martian do all show along with us. Come join the conversation. We'll see you guys Wednesday.